McDonald's has entered a Minecraft movie universe, and Grimace, Birdie, and Hamburglar just spawned as new collectibles as part of a Minecraft movie meal with your choice of Big Mac or 10-piece chicken McNuggets with spicy nether flame sauce. Participate in McDonald's for a limited time. A Minecraft movie only in theaters.
What's up, y'all? It's your boy David with Black Wealth Renaissance, and I'm here today to tell you guys about Anchor. If you haven't heard of Anchor, it's the best place to make a podcast. Anchor is a free app that has creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast straight from your phone. Anchor also distributes your podcast across all major platforms, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and many others. You can also make money on your podcast with Anchor with no minimum listenership. Anchor is everything you need to make a podcast in one place. So if you're looking to get started on your own podcast, download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm.
Hey guys, Jalen here with Black Wealth Renaissance. I just want to let you guys know we just dropped our new ebook, Manage Your Money Like the 1%, a step-by-step guide to managing your finances. This book is intended to change your viewpoint on money being a tool and not just an object, and strengthen your relationship with your finances. We also share a few tips on how to get rid of debt, start saving for retirement, and we even give you a few tips on how you can start investing today. We want to thank you guys for being such loyal listeners by offering you guys a 25% off promo code whenever you purchase the book. Just enter in the code BWRPOD at checkout and you will be on your way. Click the link in the show notes to purchase your copy today. Thank you for being such loyal listeners.
You know the rules of the game.
Yeah.
You know the rules of the game. I don't care what color. Can you make me 100 million? Let's talk money. Can you make me that? If you can't make me that, I don't want to talk to you. You shouldn't even be at this table.
Hey, I got money on my mind. I'm just trying to get some dough. I ain't picking up my line unless it's money on the phone. Gotta get it on the daily. All I want is dubs. You know what I'm on. I've been chasing after paper. All I know is run money marathon.
Do 5 years of this and be a millionaire and go on do what I want to do, have kids, go live my chip and joy in a gang life out here in Texas, or struggle for the next 10 years. The choice is yours.
What's up, guys? Welcome to the Black Wealth Renaissance Podcast. Our goal of this podcast is to normalize black wealth and share helpful resources and tips we believe will be useful in attaining and maintaining generational wealth. Please feel free to rate and comment on our podcast. We would love to hear all feedback you have. Now, enjoy the show.
Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Black Wealth Renaissance Podcast. David Bellard, 1/4 of the Black Wealth Renaissance, checking in on my co-host. Jalen, what's up?
It's your boy Jalen. What's good, y'all? Just checking in. It's just us today. Kelly and Jared, they're on their way to New Orleans right now. So they might check in later. I don't know yet. We're going to see what they're going to do.
Yeah, man. But as always, y'all, we have yet again another very, very special episode for everybody.
It's just like, I feel like they be feeling like we lying when we tell them this. But the way it works is like, it just keep on getting better and better. It's like lying, bro.
It's like, I'm going to play some Dragon Ball Z shit. Like, it just keep getting harder and harder. I don't know what's going on. But, y'all, we got a very special brother from Atlanta, currently living in LA. He is the owner of Grind Banking, Mr. BC. What's good, BC? How you doing?
How's it going, guys?
Oh, going good, man. Thank you for coming on, bro.
No, I appreciate you guys for having me, man. I feel like I gotta deliver with the introduction like that. The Dragon Ball Z reference. I think I gotta take it up a notch. So, yeah, for sure.
Oh yeah, man.
Well, yeah, BC, man, we appreciate you coming on. The way we normally kick the show off, we just get you to introduce yourself to the following and just let them know who you are and like how you got to being the owner of Grind Bank.
Not even just the bank part. Like, what was that process like leading up to that?
Sure. Well, one, thank you for having me. I think we got Jared just dialed in.
Yeah,
I did.
What's
just
up,
text him.
Jared?
Hey, y'all.
Brother still checking in early.
I couldn't let him dial in and not say hello to him. So, thanks for dialing in. Even on the road, he's committed, even in the car.
Got to.
So, hey, folks, my name's BC Silver. I'm really blessed to be with you guys and chatting because I think you guys have been doing it a long time. You guys are making moves, and then also you're just making a positive impact to the community. So it's always a pleasure to sit down with brothers that are making it happen. So thank you for allowing me the platform. a little bit about me. I'm just a normal guy who's been in business a very long time. I started off as a corporate guy. Eventually was more of a VC and an angel investor. And then throughout my years, I always had an interest in trying to figure out ways that I could start a company or an initiative that could have a bigger and broader impact to the community. So, you guys probably know a little bit about me, but I'm from Atlanta originally. What made me somewhat different was, I grew up a ward of the state. So my dad killed my mom when I was 10 years old. So, I was in and out of the system, but I was the direct byproduct. And when I say the social system, that is, I was a direct byproduct of what the system is intending to create. So he gave me a lot of exposure opportunities to Big Brothers, Big Sisters, 100 Black Men of Atlanta, Capital League, you name it. I just was exposed to a lot of wonderful things. And I think that the system is intending to show you those things, so it pushes kids for a possibility for a brighter future. But like many of us, so many people, said, you're going to be just like your dad, went to prison, et cetera, so on and so forth. But, I always had a chip on my shoulder and I always knew, we had bigger things in store for us. So, with that kind of upbringing, when I went off to university, I got an MBA, and then, got recruited by Procter & Gamble. So I was at P&G for almost 10 years, Clorox, Mars, then moved over to FinTech. Although I was in corporate, I always felt different because every time in any room I was in, most of the time, I may be not only the only African American, but even if that's not the case, I still was very different from an upbringing whose parents, other executives in the room, they came from, blue blood, right? So they have families worth of money. They had, they had nepotism, so their parents even worked at companies. Versus me, my upbringing was very different. And so even though I had a corporate background, I always looked at customers differently, always looked at consumers differently. And so when I eventually got over into the FinTech world, it was a wonderful way of me seeing a new business model that I could potentially take back to our community. And that was always the intent. And so, hopefully that kind of can see some thought, and then we can, toss it back and forth. But I think that the nutshell of me is, I'm no different than you cats, right? Who is trying to make a positive change, positive impact to the world, and and using every opportunity I can to preach that we deserve better. Here we go.
That's beautiful, bro.
Yeah, man, it's definitely a beautiful story. Even just the way, like you said, a lot of people, they would have looked at your story and be like, man, there was a lot of sad, a lot of heartfelt stuff, but you still were looking at the silver lining. I was exposed to 100 Black Men. I was exposed to these different things, and you took out what you needed to take out. Whereas some people, they would have said, hey, I'm exposed to this. I don't want to go to this. Nobody understands me.
Just being there in that space. So yeah, definitely.
I think if you, and this probably is what we want to talk about as much, but from a personal perspective, I do think, so many of us do have hardship. So many of us do go through tough stuff. And when I was and I'll talk to this in a couple seconds, but, I would say whoever you lost or whatever you didn't get, there are two ways you can look at it. If you lost somebody, you can look at it like, man, it's over and shut everything down. Or you can say, what would that person want me to do? And, I was very close to my mom. She was super dope lady. She was tough, smart, funny, jokester, the whole nine. She was a social worker. So I saw her giving back to the community, and she was that type of person. And so for me, when I lost her, I thought to myself, man, what would she want me to do? And anytime I thought about doing something, outside of the lines, I would think back to, maybe it's, I felt like she was looking and you're watching, but I was like, man, all right, I gotta step off on this one. But, you have to kind of find ways to motivate yourself to say, okay, what would that person want you to do in their absence? And they would want you to live, no different than, all of us, I would, or, anybody you guys know close to you guys as well. And then beyond that, then you start to say, okay, I do think what I think our community is beautifully unrecognized for is the hustle that we have. And once we see something, it's eye-opening. I don't care whether it's the first time you see J's or the first time you see a Porsche or the first time you see a Lambo or a big house. once you see it, you're like, man, I got to get that. I have to. And so as you start to see other people making a living and doing successful things that come from just the same environments that you came from, it's inspirational. And so I think that's why, the hustle in all of us, it's kind of like, man, when I saw other people, maybe, growing up in Atlanta was a wonderful thing too, because, I was exposed to judges and I saw people that would look like me that climbed to all types of heights. So you said, man, I can do that one day. Then you got to say, okay, well, what type of hustle are you going to have? Like, how are you going to hustle your grades? How are you going to study? How are you going to work out there? How are you going to work for it? And then can you make your way to cracking the code to get there? And so I think, we all have that ability, and we all, we just got to know where to invest our time recently.
McDonald's has entered a Minecraft movie universe, and Grimace, Birdie, and Hamburglar just spawned as new collectibles as part of a Minecraft movie meal with your choice of Big Mac or 10-piece chicken McNuggets with spicy nether flame sauce. Participate in McDonald's for a limited time. A Minecraft movie only in theaters.
Powerful words, man. And with you investing your time, I want to kind of move on to so you took all of your skills that you had. Now, how did you bring this vision of you and grind banking into fruition? Like, where did that brainchild come from, and how'd you say, you know what, I'm gonna make this happen for me and my community?
Yeah, so I wish I could pretend like it was an original idea, but there's nothing new under the sun. Originally, I had heard about Russell Simmons doing something for a rush card back in the day, and I heard about it, and so when I was actually transitioned from a corporate perspective, Headhunter reached out to me from a company called Green Dot. And I was familiar with Green Dot just from growing up in Atlanta. And they had the prepaid cards. So if you didn't have a traditional debit card, you could just go to the store, buy a card, load money on it, and swipe it like it was anything else. And they started getting a personal card. So that company recruited me to be the vice president of marketing and general manager on the retail division. So managing all the retail cards, all the retail businesses in store. So Green Dot, just for context, is a $4 billion company. It's probably one of the bigger companies that people have never really heard of or pay attention to. So Green Dot bought Rush Card in 2017 for $167 million from Russell Simmons. So they acquired the company. And when they bought the company, they said, hey, BC, we want you to run it. So I said, perfect. This is exactly what I was hoping to do. I was able to, I was going to be able to take a multi-million-dollar brand, finally start to reinvest back in the community. And finally, I knew what the marketing budget was. I knew the audience. I knew the people. As I mentioned, I always felt different than the folks that I was working with. So this was finally going to be the opportunity that I was going to be able to, I felt like it was my calling. I was like, man, this is what it was all for. And so, at the time, we had year-end exercises where you go through and say, I'm going to try to speed it up so I don't bore you guys to death. You go through these year-end exercises where you say, what's possible? How could you make it bigger and bigger? And I was like, hey, I'm going to be giving back to the community. I'm going to do charitable contributions, going to be giving internships, scholarships, et cetera, et cetera. And at the end of the year, because of budgetary reasons and because of a difference in strategic direction, the company decided that they wanted to discontinue Rush Card. And it hurt me because I thought about Rush Card as being the same likeness of what the programs that gave back to me. Like they gave me a scholarship opportunity, gave me, this. And so I felt like that was where we could have taken it. So when they decided to kill the brand or discontinue it, and we had some layoffs at the time, we had to do some corporate restructuring. So a lot of my former Rush Card team and a lot of my other team, direct marketing team, got released. And I thought to myself, man, this is a cause worth fighting for, and this is a cause worth me stepping out of corporate and finally doing what must be done. And so at that point, I just decided to walk away from corporate and start my own. And instead of me taking the rejection of the company saying, no, you can't do that. No, you can't do that. No. I just said, hey, man, I've been blessed to be successful enough. I have a phenomenal team that had just entered the market. It's time for us to do it ourselves. And so, I felt like it was a brand and so when I started thinking about the brand, there were a couple of songs. I wanted to find a name that was something that I said all the time. So anytime somebody hit me up, they said, what you up to, man? I'm like, I'm just grinding. I was like, huh. But I always used to joke with my buddies, like, it's a new kind of, my grind is a new kind of grind. I want all of us to have a new kind of grind, like not like, you know, building stuff and, you know, super heavy stuff, like, you know, depressing grind, but like more of an uplifting, like, you know, we're doing what we have to do right now, but we know where we're headed, you know. So that's why, and then I love the song by Clips, you know, just back in the day, and then I love, you know, there were so many other ones, you know, Grind All My Life by Hit Boy, I think it was, and then also there was the Nip had a song, and it was just like, but each one of those, every time you heard it in our culture, in our community, we knew what it meant.
Yeah.
And I never really heard anybody else saying, like, you know, when I talked to some of my other coworkers, if I asked them, hey, how's your day going? You know, they never said, oh man, I'm just grinding.
You're right.
So it felt like it was something that was more closely connected to our community, but I also, you know, wanted to make it mean something different for our community as well too. So.
Hey, I love that. And immediately once you said, you know, how you got, I was like, man, I didn't think about the Clip song and all of that.
Yeah,
so,
like grinding and looking into the culture, definitely.
Yeah,
definitely.
I love it, bro. That's beautiful. That's fine.
Yep. Thank you,
and I like how you took one of those like code switch phrases, like grinding to us means something totally different and nobody else would understand it, but like by doing it and targeting it that way, he made sure that his like followers and his target market understood exactly what this banking was about, and I think that's really cool.
Thanks, man. Thanks, brother.
So BC, man, and another thing like it made me really think of was you mentioned earlier that you really, well, you feel like you're different because you're focused on the customer. And I see that part of it with that grind banking. But I had a question for you specifically. It was, damn it, I hate when this happens to me.
Well, no, it's okay. Well, you think about that. I will say a couple things though regarding the focus on the customer. You know, when I launched this thing, it was really about understanding what the community needs and everything that we've missed out on. And so, you know, I was familiar with a lot of the predatory behaviors that happen in our community. So if you think of like the check cashing places, the payday loans, the bill pay services, and, you know, payday advances, they charge you 450%, you know, in some cases interest. No one else is paying that in the market. In order to pay a bill, you have to hike across town to get to a location to pay a bill, versus most other customers in the country use their mobile app or they use their banking account and they just do it online, right? And so, but if you don't have a card, if you don't have access to that stuff, or Western Union, I mean, there's a reason why in the underserved community, 54% of Americans are unbanked or underbanked, and 54% more specifically African American. And so it skews heavy on our front. Almost half of us are using these secondary solutions, and a lot of it is just simply due to access. So if you go to the hood or the inner city, you don't see banks like you do in other parts of the city. You may see one or two, but you see much more of those other types of secondary financial solutions. And so the thought was, okay, what if I could take the concept of like a rush card, but then take it up a notch? And so rush card started as a prepaid card, and then it transitioned to doing a little bit of debit. We started off no prepaid. We started off as a debit solution, no credit check. And then you'll start to see from an innovation pipeline standpoint, a lot of the things that we'll be launching will be helping remove a lot of that predatory stuff that's happening in our community. And even beyond that, you'll start to see, you know, us bringing jobs back to the community as well. So it's one thing for brands to target Black folks or Hispanic folks or inner city or underserved. It's another thing for them to actually support those communities. So, you know, I don't knock, you know, if you're different, you know, ethnicity on any company and you give back, I'm not going to knock that. But most don't. Yeah. So I think that's where, you know, we have to start to watch and look, you know, what's happening in our communities and start to say, okay, we expect a different level of accountability from the brands that we invest in. And so, you know, I think that's where, you know, you know, this is the first time that we're spending time together, you know, and, you know, David, Jalen, Jerry, you guys can hold me accountable to, you know, I'll be back here many times. It's just beginning, right? But you'll see it from us, that level of accountability. So then if you understand that at a high level, then you'll start to understand, okay, the same thing comes true in our fee structure. And so, you know, we have, We don't charge you for ATM access. We have a much larger network, so almost 55,000 ATMs, and we don't charge you for it. Now, the reason why that's the case is if you have a Bank of America account, you go to Bank of America ATM, you don't get charged to use that ATM. If you have a Chase account and you go to Chase, they don't charge you. If you go to other things outside of the network, they do charge you. But most of the prepaid cards, most of the older, the rush cards, anybody else, if you that's much smaller network and they charge you for all of those little things. I'm not trying to make a profit off of that. So, even beyond that, if you think of the monthly fee, so we have two options. You can choose your account. So you can do $0 per month. You just pay per transaction. So it's just $1 per transaction. So if you plan on let's say if you only use your card for your rent and groceries once a week, it's cheaper for you to do the pay-per-use than it is. But if you use it 7 times or more, you might as well go to the monthly plan. But it's $5.95 if you do direct deposit, and that's less than half of what Bank of America is going to charge you per month. So most bank accounts charge you $12, $15 per month if you don't have a high enough balance, and most people don't have a high enough balance. So you get taxed that no matter what. You may not pay attention to it, but they get the money at the beginning of the month, period. And so if you want to know the reasons why you should choose us versus other folks, it will be, one, you get to save more of your own money, your hard-earned money, one. Two, the money that you do spend with us, we almost keep it at cost so we can invest back into our community. And then even beyond that, you also get paid up to 2 days earlier for your direct deposit as well, too, so you get your money faster. So for all those reasons, and you get to choose your own card, too. We got some dope designs, and you can do a little bit more customization there, too. But it's like I tried to build, something that, I could be proud of and that our community could be proud of, and also would be held as a benchmark for future brands and future companies that, come afterwards.
Man, it was a lot. It was a lot in there that I really liked. I like how you mentioned, our community is targeted by
other communities.
Yeah, not even just like, like those high interest one day check cashing places and other things like that. A lot of people don't even know that you can go cash the check for free at the bank that it's written out from. Like, a lot of people don't know that you don't necessarily have to pay to go cash your check. Yep. Like, that's crazy. So I'm glad that you saw that was a problem and you say, you know what, let's really fix this problem, because that is a big problem in our communities. On every corner, you'll see quick cash or one-day loan or payday loan here, payday loan there. But as soon as you get out of our neighborhoods, you'll start to see the banks again pop up.
Yeah, you don't see that anywhere in those areas.
Exactly.
And I had made that comment to Jared. I was like, because earlier I had told him our race is like the most underserved bank, and I was like, a lot of us don't have bank accounts. He's like, nah, bro, they got it. He's like, how else would they get paid? Like the rush cards or whatever. And he's like, oh yeah, that's a banking, but sometimes they still getting hit way harder than what it'll be if they had an actual setup account.
Yep, absolutely. And, but part of that too is, some people haven't been able to have access to accounts. So if you have poor credit, or if you have maybe a record, or you just were blocked from having an account, or you lost your account. The number one reason most people don't have an account, based off of reports from FDIC, it says they don't feel like they have enough money to have an account. Which is crazy to think about. But, they feel like, hey, I just don't even have enough money all the time. By the time I get my money, I pay it all out, and then it's gone. So there's no reason to even have an account. But what they don't realize is, because of that perception, it causes you not to have an account, which causes you to pay more, which means you have less. Versus if you had an account, you wouldn't have paid all those, maybe not all those extra fees, and you could have kept maybe a couple $100 per paycheck.
How much?
So those are things that we gotta learn.
Charge you like a percentage on how much it is of your check, right?
And that's crazy to think about. But if you don't know any better, or if you don't, or if you, let's say if you don't have the time. So let's say if you work a shift, like you said, Jalen, when you go to, let's say if you didn't know, you got a Western Union check, right? And you knew, not a Western Union, Wells Fargo or Chase, right? And you you can go to that bank and cash it. But it's Wednesday afternoon and you work a shift until 6 o'clock. But you work a shift till 5, and you know by the time you get across town, you won't make it in time. And so you're like, man, if it's either I wait 2 or 3 days to try to make it over the weekend, say if it's a Tuesday, I gotta wait till Saturday before I can even make it physically there, or I can go to this spot that gives me money on the spot, and I need this cash right now. And so you have this tough predicament where, people are in jams and it's real, but just imagine a future state where you can just, cash your check on your app, or just imagine a future state where you can, and that technology exists and it's, it's real. Just imagine if you can just get direct deposit, say, hey, hold on, don't write me any checks, just send a direct deposit, and you get your money on Wednesday instead of Friday with us instead. And you don't have to worry about any of that stuff. You have a real personal card, it says your name, the whole time.
And
we have to educate.
Another thing I want to add to with the check cashing places, I noticed that they do tend to stay open later than a traditional bank. They'll normally close around 8 o'clock, like you said, so they can catch those people who are desperate. And they'll say, you know what, I'll pay them $5 just to cash my check.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I mean, and in fairness to them, they may not think of it like, man, I'm getting over all these people. They may feel like they're offering a service. I can't knock those people. I don't know what's in their heart. I don't know what's in their spirit, right? And so they may feel like, man, I'm just out here, hustling like anybody else. I'm offering a solution. Yeah. That's all good and fine, but we as a people, we have to have different options, and we got to educate each other and look after each other enough to say, hold on. If you know somebody that does that, say, hey, check out this bank. I was talking to a young guy who said, oh, man, I already have a bank account. I would totally come and work, with Grind. I said, hold on now. You still need to get a Grind banking account. I don't care if you have a Bank of America account, Chase account, you name it. You should still help us. And we always talk about we need more of this, we need more of that. But when it's time to step up as a community and actually get an account, or actually buy that product, actually go to that restaurant, do we actually do it, or do we just hit a like? And I think, and so I think that's where we got to start thinking about it differently as a community. We can't say like, oh man, we need to have our own, hotels, and we need to have our own hospitals, we need to have our own banks, and we need to do all this stuff. But then when you get it and it's staring in your face, you actually do it.
That right there made me think of it. Go back to an argument. I credit Jared for sharing it with me. Like, as a whole, I think that comes from our community not understanding economies of scale. We always complain about shit being too expensive from Black-owned businesses, but it comes back to the same thing. Like you said, we got to put that money up now if we want it to become cheaper and have these things of our own later.
Yeah. Because
we can't do it if, right now your fees might be $5.95 a month.
But once you get more users,
it's going to go down because you won't need as much money from the individuals to keep the system running.
But just know for me, my structure is a little bit different. I'm already better than the marketplace. I'm already cheaper than the marketplace. Just off jump. And so, but I'm very transparent in terms of what we charge. So if big banks are charging $12 and $15 a month, I'm charging you $5.95. If somebody else charges you $0, I assure you that they are making up that money some other place that you just may not see. They're charging you $2 for an ATM transaction. They're charging you because they have a smaller network. They're making that money up some way else. It's perception. It's just like when people say, unlimited this and unlimited that, but it's like, is it really unlimited? Probably not. Read the fine print. Pay attention to detail. I'm just very transparent about it. So, but I agree with you in terms of, I'll speak to what you just mentioned though. Ours already is better than the marketplace. But I agree with you in terms of economy of scale, in terms of if you go to some of our restaurants, because they have so much traffic and coming in and out of their other businesses that they can buy in bulk. And they can buy distributor pricing versus, we're buying retail price or list cost price, right? And so to your point, you're spot on in terms of, the more we can scale. Now, the difference is the more we scale as a company, the more we'll provide jobs and the more we'll give back to it. That's what will be different in ours. I don't collect a salary from Grind Bank. This is just straight up for the community. This is just 100% real. But I put the challenge out to everybody to say, okay, I don't care if you have a Bank of America account. I don't care if you have a Chase or whoever. Also, join us. It's nothing wrong with having 2 cards. I mean, we've all been in a grocery store line and your card doesn't work and money's on there, but it got froze because of fraud protection. Then, hey, have a backup account. Have a Grind card with a couple $100 on it, a couple dollars on it. Boom. Then you keep it moving through the line. You're on your date. You guys look like sharp young men. You guys can be on a date. Hey, you don't want to be on a date and then all of a sudden your card doesn't work and you're like, see, can I borrow your card? I'll PayPal you later. No, like have a backup card.
Definitely.
And then you can try it, and if you love it and it works equal as well, if not better, which it will, then you can start to transition more. But don't let any excuse block us from our blessings in terms of helping out our community, our people.
Facts. So
the NBA playoffs are here, and I'm getting my bets in on FanDuel. Talk to me, Chuck GPT. What do you know?
All sorts of interesting stuff, even Charles Barkley's greatest fear.
Hey, nobody needs to know that.
New customers bet $5 to get $250 in bonus bets if you win. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook.
21 plus and present in Virginia. Must be first online real money wager. $5 deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets that expires 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See full terms at FanDuel.com/sportsbook. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
BC, I do kind of want to go back a little bit to Grind Banking and the story of how y'all actually came to be. So you had the idea, you were working in fintech for P&G, right?
For Green Dot.
For Green Dot, I'm sorry. For Green Dot. You're working for Green Dot. You had the team already. What was the process like of actually building out like the infrastructure for all this? Like,
yeah, it's pretty rigorous, as you can imagine. So I think one, a lot of my team became available, and then once I left, I'm kind of the guy where when I had a company, I'm all focused. I couldn't plan at night and do a side hustle and do all that stuff, for me personally. So for me, once I left the company, then, I need a little bit of recharge time. I'd already told my team what I was thinking about doing. Then we started to build it out, like nonstop, no sleep, no anything. And the process to get, accredited, and then you go through a extremely rigorous due diligence process from, the federal government, from the banking system, et cetera, et cetera. So you have to go through the full process of getting vetted, to make sure you are, a good individual. You have the resources and the commitment to support any credits that go into your banking system from a reserve standpoint, and then you can. And so we are FDIC insured up to $250,000 per person. And so, it's the same rigor and process that it would take for you, your Bank of America's or your anything else from a process standpoint.
So whenever you're doing that, is there like a specific timeline you have to wait, or is it like as long as you got all your paperwork, you turn it in, hey, you're a bank now?
No. It takes months on months on months. I wish it were that easy because we would have been having this conversation, a long time ago. But no, you definitely have to wait. There's a freeze period. There's as I mentioned, the due diligence process. They go through all the records, all your background, all your history, all of your everything. And I'm happy they do because it's protecting customers and it's protecting consumers from any type of risk. That's what the intent is for. So, and so we're here. We passed the flying colors, and we have a fully experienced team of folks who've been doing it for on average 7 to 10 years, and some people we have that have been doing it 20 years. And so it's legit, super. If it was not, we couldn't even be operating right now. Except for the federal government. I'm sure everybody knows that. So that's no joke. So yeah. We're here.
So I kind of want to go back to like the origin story. We like the X-Men right now, man. We getting all the goods. So on the process of you actually creating that, we know everything isn't perfect. So what was some of those times where you're like, whenever you were on those hard times, how did you keep that vision and that goal in your head and say, you know what, I can't stop. I got to keep on going. I'm not going to let any of these hurdles really stop me.
Yeah, no, that's a great question. You know, I definitely say at the beginning, the vetting process, due diligence process, you know, is, oh, can you give this piece of information? Can you give this piece of information? Can I see this bank record from, you know, this year? And, you know, it's like, you know, just another hurdle to jump through, right? And so, you know, you definitely, I've learned a lot more. I thought I was patient, but I've learned a lot more patience. You know, you want to get out in the market quickly. You know, you want to start to help, but you also have to your point, stay focused on what you're trying to accomplish and understand. Only thing I can do is control what I can control. And so folks ask for information, or building something out, or even from a technology perspective, if we're testing something from a PCI compliance standpoint, you know, we tested. Then we went to, you know, beta testing, friends and family. Then we tested a little bit more with a small subset of folks because we wanted to be ready to rock, you know, by the time, you know, it hit the market. So, but I definitely think patience. I'll also say, you know, we were looking for, you know, funding from a resourcing standpoint because we built out the tool, but I also wanted to give funding to do marketing, like really big marketing. To work with influencers, or work with it, you know, with some major, you know, folks who can help us drive the brand and awareness, right? But, you know, when it came time to get invested either from VCs or other small folks, people were like, yeah, I just don't really get the audience, or, yeah, how big of an opportunity is this? And I would say, like, well, you saw the benchmark, you know, it's such a thing. But, you know, but maybe because they aren't as close to the community as I was, either they couldn't see the market opportunity or they just didn't care. And so I would say, you know, but that's where, you know, we said, okay, we're going to still persevere, you know, and we may not have the multi-million dollars worth of budget to, you know, a Kevin Hart, you know, today, but, you know, Samuel L. Jackson, but, you know, hopefully one day we'll be able to work with folks like that, or somebody will find out what we're doing and just, you know, love our mission and what we're trying to accomplish, and they'll help out from an awareness and spreading the word.
Somebody got to do it for the culture, damn.
It's going to happen. It got to happen 2020, baby.
We're gonna make sure it happens.
I feel like it's going to happen. I do. I in my heart of hearts, I do feel like it's going to happen.
You know who we got to get? You know, we got to get with Killer Mike.
I would love it, man. He's an Atlanta guy, you know, as well. You know, I reached out to his camp. You know, if you guys know something, you know somebody in his camp, feel free. I would love to talk to him. I would love to talk to anybody who wants to do right by their opportunity. You know,
we got to get at Killer Mike. We ain't never tried to get at him.
Yeah,
we're trying to get at him.
There you go. Yeah, I think he's a super dope cat. Obviously, super educated, super knowledgeable, hyper aggressive. I love it. You know, but he keeps it real. So yeah.
So speaking of all the future grind banking, what are your goals for? What are y'all future goals for grind bank?
Yeah, I think for people to know us and to love us. I think you know, I try not to put, you know, the cart before the horse type of thing. You know, I don't even think about 20 years from now. I just think about how can more people be protected by us, more people sign up for our accounts, and how we can look after people in a better and much more personal way. You know, I'm the cat that, you know, I look at everybody who comes through, who signs up. You know, I read the posts on Instagram. You know, I reply to posts. You know, like I'm that guy. You know, I just care about this business, and I care about this opportunity. So, you know, I hope the future state looks like we're much bigger. You know, I'm not sure if you guys saw, but we plan on opening up a few call centers around the country. In inner city communities. So, you know, we're headquartered out of Vector 90 now. And so we, you know, we plan on opening up a call center in South Central LA. So then that way, the bigger the brand gets, the more call service representatives we can hire. And that way people aren't busting across the town to to get to a job. They can just walk in their neighborhood, boom, clock in, get off on a regular shift, and take care of the family. I met some really dope brothers that are doing some great things. They're called The Bridge. They're trying to create like inner city ecosystems in inner city communities. It's by a former NFL player,
Gary Gilliam.
Yeah.
I thought I heard about that. Yeah, I seen it the other day. It's dope.
Yeah, super dope. I love what they're doing. So, I'd be interested in setting up a partnership with them. So as we start to open up additional call centers around the country in the inner city communities, maybe we can partner with them from a facility standpoint. Same thing, Atlanta, Detroit, Bronx, South Side of Chicago, Houston. There's so many places that I think, that can use support and more resources and more jobs. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's beautiful, man. I love how you're going to, like you said, you're going to help, and then you're going to start branching out and just start helping the community out again, because we definitely need those jobs. And, yeah, it's vital. It's pivotal, man.
Yeah. And on top of that, the cool thing about it, too, is, the experience that you get, from working with technology and working in an environment where you aren't so far away from your family, it can help regentrify our community, right? And then also, we plan on doing STEM programs. We also plan on partnering with some other programs as well to help, start to provide close the gap from a technology standpoint with our youth, right, as well. So, there are a lot of, just phenomenal things, that I can't wait to see happen, but thank you for, having brothers like you guys to even have the platform to spread the word. Because like I said, I'm not, I'm not a Chase or a JP Morgan, so we have you guys giving us a platform, is greatly appreciated. Even if it's one account that we get, or even if it's, 3, it all matters to us. So.
Hey, and we appreciate it, because that's just really what we want to do. We want to just help the community. And I constantly say, I don't care if we impact one person or we impact 10 million people. As long as we make that connection and make that impact, I feel like we're doing our job, we're doing our work. And we were talking to this guy the other day. He was like, there's 2 different type of leaders. There's a servant leader, and what was the other kind? Started with a T. But servant leaders, that's whenever you just put in the work and you don't really care about, getting that glorification or, just sitting back and telling people what to do. No, you do the work, and people are going to start to follow you from what you're doing, because they see, hey, this guy, he's doing what's right. He don't care if he's getting that glorification. He doesn't care what is being said. It's for a mission and it's for a purpose. And that's much more powerful and much more impactful than just saying, hey, we got this black bank, y'all come bank with us. No, it's for a purpose. It's for a mission. And that is going to stand and last longer than just all that other bull crap.
Yeah, I have faith that, I have a faith that we're going to turn out and we're going to show up. And, it's, I look forward to seeing, all the other, I think this country is at a really pivotal time. And I would say we're at a pivotal time, and it's really beautiful what I'm seeing. I'm seeing more people fired up in terms of starting businesses. I'm seeing more people fired up in terms of, getting educated. More people fired up about voting, about just so much. I really see the fire and the excitement that's happening around the country, and I think it's dope.
That's the Renaissance, bro. That's what we calling it.
Yeah, great word for it. Yep, absolutely.
And I have one more question. So with you being on the banking side, how do we go about changing the impact on, once we say we got these accounts, but how do we go back and change the impact on the way we spend and the way our spending emotions are, to where we're not just saying, hey, we spending money on BS, but no, let's move towards ownership. How do we say, let's help our people get these loans and different things like that?
Yeah, I definitely think, people, I had a conversation, maybe on a different podcast, wonderful group, and I talked about the importance of, people trash us a lot, saying we don't know how to manage our money. And I said, that's not true. we know how to manage our money for the things we care about. So I remember being a shorty, and like if I wanted some starter jacket, if I wanted some J's, I knew exactly what I had to do
to
and
go
what I need to earn to get it. And so I think we're great at managing money. We just sometimes as a community we may value the wrong things, and I think that's where you're talking about in terms of how do we begin to value the right things, whether it's ownership of property, or whether it's a savings or an education or you name it. I think that's where we have to start to change our paradigm. And a lot of it starts with conversations like this. A lot of the stuff that you'll see coming from Grind Banking will be, it not only will have a very functional banking, conversation, like this is what we do, kind of functional, reference, but it'll also be educational opportunity as well too. So you'll see a lot of that coming from us, because we are so laser-like focused on the underserved community and our people that, we are willing to have those conversations. We're willing to share that knowledge because, a lot of it is just knowing the game. Once we know the game, we'll master how to play it, but we got to learn the game, and I think that's where, it wasn't given to me. It wasn't given to a lot of us. We just have to go out and learn it and acquire it. And once we do learn it, we have to take it back and share it. And scream it to people, that, hey, this is how you can do this, or even the small dime of knowledge that you dropped about, you can go, if you see the issuing bank on your check, go to that bank and cash that check. And you'll save yourself money.
Yeah.
And you'll get it immediately. But it's little dimes like that most people don't know until somebody shares with you. And so, you guys can hold me accountable that I'm going to be, sharing that with our company and our platform and our voice. And then I'm sure you guys will. And eventually, you guys will have so many followers. You guys will just tell people about me, and then maybe we'll have more followers as well. And, when we speak, people will hear it, and then we'll be the big brother, we'll be the big sister, and we'll drop that knowledge for them. So, yeah.
This episode is brought to you by LifeLock. It's tax season, and we're all a bit tired of numbers. But here's one you need to hear. $16.5 billion. That's how much the IRS flagged for possible identity fraud last year. Now here's a good number. 100 million. That's how many data points LifeLock monitors every second. If your identity is stolen, they'll fix it. Guaranteed. Save up to 40% your first year at LifeLock.com/podcast. Terms apply.
I love it. I love it. Jared, did you have one more thing you wanted to put in?
Oh yeah, I wanted to add in to say, like, I agree with your answer, and on top of that, I think that it's like the movement is gonna be started with the ownership, like with the ownership of guys like you who come in and are willing to own the bank and then turn around and educate the people. And I think that's just gonna be the like really cool double-edged blade, because you're educating people, you own it. And then on top of that, you're looking to hire people. And you're actually going to bring that money and that like access to that community. And I think that's what's really going to help to change and provide the situation. Because at the end of the day, we can talk all we want, but if we're not providing anybody the resources to do better, then it's not going to help anything. And that's exactly what Grind Banking and what you were doing. And I just think that's really dope.
Thank you, brother. Yeah, no, I definitely think, I understand how blessed of a position, I'm in right now, and how blessed of an opportunity is, but the only way, Grind Banking can be here 10 years from now is by, you guys, and by people stepping up right now, right? And people showing up, and giving us feedback, letting us know what we can do better, letting us know what we need, keeping the pulse on the community, and, holding me accountable that we're going to be there with you every step of the way. The fun fact is most people stay with their banks longer than they're married.
Damn.
Think about it.
That's crazy.
Right? Most people, because most people straight out of high school or straight out, into college, you get your bank account and you're with them, you're ride or die until the end, unless something major happens, right? And you get a really bad experience. But most people are pretty tough with their bank for a long time. And so I think, it's and that's okay. If you already have a bank, I would just implore people or love or challenge people, whatever you want to say get a second account. There's nothing wrong with having a second account. Have a little bit of extra cash for a rainy day. Grind banking. At least you know where your money's going to and how it's contributing to our community. Secondarily, if you're new and you don't have a bank account today, then talk to us. Reach out, apply online. Super simple, super easy. It's convenient and manage it on your phone. And you don't have to worry about banking hours or anything else. We have 24/7 customer service support, 365. And so already right now, if you want to speak to somebody in the U.S. that you can talk to, anything else. So, we're already making it happen. No excuses. So let's make it happen together.
Yes, sir. So we're gonna pivot to the last section of the podcast, my brother. What's on your timeline? And what's on your timeline is basically anything that you saw that you wanted to speak about that was happening on your timeline, no matter if it's good, bad, useless, something that was funny to you, whatever you just say, you know what, I feel like talking about this today.
Oh man, let's see. That's a great question. Let me think about that. Let me look at this. I think, perfect. I will talk about what's on my timeline. Two things are actually on my timeline. One, the bridge that I just mentioned.
Dope ass, yeah. That's
man, I love what those guys are doing. It's a whole.
You know Gary?
You saw what?
Do you know Gary?
I don't know him personally. I never met him personally. I hope to meet him one day, or I hope to get connected with him like that. But I really like what they're doing. It's a team of brothers that are trying to really build the inner city and the community, and starting by, I think what they're doing is like they're acquiring like schools or rundown schools or old schools that were closed or old gymnasiums in the hood, and they're refurbishing them and making them like their own like shared workspace, eat, work, play, live kind of setups.
That's cool.
So that's dope. And then the other thing I saw pop up is the Shade Room. I love what those cats are doing too. The founder of that company has a really impressive story. Sister as well too, and I like how from a brand standpoint they stay true to form in terms of who they are. I like how they always real, whether it's hood or good or whatever. It is what it is, and they stay true to form as well too. I'll probably say those things are on the timeline right now. Yeah.
For sure, man.
Of course. I thought it'd be too obnoxious if I also told you guys on the timeline as well.
Hey man, give us a shout out, man.
I didn't want to see y'all heads getting big or anything like that, but it's up there. So I love it. But all joking aside, you guys actually are, and I've been trying to connect with you guys for a minute now, right? Yeah. And so I love what you guys are doing, man. From deep, my heart. I love what you guys are doing. It's great to see young cats, young brothers. You guys are so much more evolved than even I was, at you guys' age. Just being committed to the cause and creating a platform and a voice for many other people like myself, and so hopefully I'll have the opportunity to come back and check in with you guys in the future.
Hey man, you welcome anytime, man.
We got to talk about it because we got to we got some shit to talk about.
Yeah, man.
Hey, I'm here.
We got some work to do.
Yeah.
You know where to find me. So, I appreciate it though, for real.
No DC, problem. Can you tell the people like how they could get started with Grind Bank and where they can find out more about you?
Absolutely, man. Go to grindbanking.com. Grindbanking.com, like grind, GRIND, banking, BANKING.com. There'll be a little bio on me in there somewhere. I try to tuck it away because I don't like talking about myself like that, but my team wanted me to put me on there. But grindbanking.com, it takes less than 5 minutes to sign up for an account. No credit check. It won't impact your credit score at all. Super simple. Boom, boom, boom. We mail you out your card. You load money on your card, or you deposit it, set up direct deposit. You start getting paid earlier. You keep your own money, and then follow us online. And then we're going to be dropping knowledge, dropping some dimes. So yeah. So
And y'all have it. Grind Bank. Y'all need to get at 'em.
Yeah, BC, appreciate you for coming on again, my brother. We definitely appreciated having you. Love to hear your story and love to hear what you're doing for the community. We're going to get into a little housekeeping before we wrap it up. Once again, we want to thank all of our listeners for constantly listening to us, rocking with us day in and day out, and just supporting us. Shout out to all of our Patreons. If you want to join the Patreon, just go to patreon.com/THEBWR.
Yeah, Kelly normally do that. But also, y'all make sure y'all check out blackwealthrenaissance.com. We have all the tools and resources up there for you guys. We have courses on mobile home investing to stock investing. We have a lot of different courses up there for you guys. We have our merch. I got the cash flow shirt on right now. It's one of our more popular items. We also have the Renaissance man, Renaissance woman nose jumping off. BC, we got to get you in one of these.
Yeah, man, we got to get you in one of these.
We got to get you right. But let's see what else, man. Oh, y'all sign up for the newsletter.
Yeah, we got the newsletter popping now, guys. Y'all definitely sign up for the newsletter. It's a weekly newsletter we're putting together every week just to get you educated. We're going to be dropping different little free courses you can take to educate yourself in certain fields. Ooh, look, my boy right there got it right there on screen. Go follow Black Wealth Renaissance. You can get, we're going to be putting helpful tweets. We're going to be putting books of the week, different stocks and everything. Just trying to educate the people, make it really accessible for you. You can go back and look at it throughout the day. So y'all definitely join that. Go to that link in the bio. I think that's it. Yeah, I think that's all we got.
Only thing y'all missing is a freestyle. That's it. I mean,
hey, y'all got it too. We coming with it soon.
We coming with it. Yeah. On that note, this is Black Wealth Renaissance.
Signing out. Peace.
I got money on my mind. I'm just trying to get some dough. I ain't picking up my line unless it's money on the phone. Gotta get it on the daily. All I want is dubs. You know what I'm on. I've been chasing after paper. All I know is run money marathons. I got money on my mind. I'm just trying to get some dough. I ain't picking up my line unless it's money on the phone. Gotta get it on the daily. All I want is dubs. You know what I'm on. I've been chasing after paper. All I know is run money marathons.
McDonald's has entered a Minecraft movie universe, and Grimace, Birdie, and Hamburglar just spawned as new collectibles in the overworld. Now for a limited time, you can get one of 6 McDonald's collectibles when you order a Minecraft movie meal. With your choice of Big Mac or 10-piece chicken McNuggets with spicy nether flame sauce. Available now in a biome near you. Oh, and at your local McDonald's. I participate in McDonald's for a limited time. A Minecraft movie only in theaters.